Hello and welcome, everyone. My name is Mark, a trainer here at WEX Field Service Management, and today we are covering onboarding, getting ready to make the switch. This webinar will cover a quick make the switch recap. The make the switch checklist we'll go through together in the Help Center, how to finalize your account setup, some make the switch to-dos, and then some recommendations on what to do after you make the switch. We'll talk about QuickBooks Sync if you're syncing to QuickBooks with a live Q&A at the end where you can get your questions answered live on stream. And without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into WEX FSM. Now, when you first sign up and you log in, you're going to be brought to the schedule page. And when you're thinking about onboarding and the things you need to do to get ready to make the switch, we have a very helpful Getting Started article. Hover over the Getting Started button here and then click on the Getting Started article. This brings you to an article that at this point, since today is the getting ready to make the switch, we'll assume that you have at least seen this page and gone through. But just as a reminder, the timeline for onboarding, you sign up and you submit your initial data load. And at this point, that data load should be complete. That is the first bulk load that we do that will load things like your customers, invoices, and payments into your system from your previous software. And then during that time, while that data is loading, you're going through the system, adding your users, learning in the Help Center, which we have a lot of training resources for you. The Help Center is in the bottom right, little smiley face guy. You click on Tasks, and then we have a lot of really good training here in the Tasks section. Now, make the switch is the day that you will stop using your previous system and start using WEX FSM as your main system. So if you're used to creating customers, invoices, and payments in QuickBooks, let's say, now on your make the switch day, you'll show up to work that day and start entering customers, invoices, and payments into WEX FSM first. And if you have the sync turned on, then you will be able to see those sync over. Now, when you make the switch, the sync will actually not be turned on right away. So on make the switch day, let's say that your make the switch day is tomorrow, then you will see a pop-up when you log in and your system will ask, did you officially make the switch? Is today the day? And I do have a article for that. If you want to see this article, you can always go to the Help Center, click on Help, and then type in make the switch. And what I'm looking at is the make the switch confirmation, make the switch day confirmation article. And in here, this just kind of shows you what to expect on make the switch day. So on make the switch day, your system will have a pop-up. It says your make the switch day has arrived. Congratulations. And as long as, yes, you're ready to go, you'll hit yes, let's go. If you're not ready to go, maybe you haven't added your users yet, or your maintenance plans aren't set up, you're not comfortable with how your price book looks, whatever it is, you can always click no, I need to reschedule and push your make the switch date into the future. If you have questions, you can click I need help and that will connect you with a customer support representative. But let's say that you are ready to go, you will click yes, let's go, and you will work towards the second data load, which is your supplemental data load. That will then load the rest of your data from when you signed up for WEX FSM to your make the switch date, so you have a full system of record. This will ask what date did you stop entering into your old software. You would put the make the switch day date, because yesterday we would have entered into the previous. Today on Make the Switch Day, you stopped officially. So that's the date you would enter. And then here, this is saying, if you were syncing, have you performed your final sync to QuickBooks? What this means, if you had, let's say, an additional software, maybe you were using one of our competitor softwares, you would want to make sure you do a final sync from that to your QuickBooks. That way, when we load from QuickBooks, we have everything that you would need. Once that is complete and you have started your supplemental data load by submitting my data securely right here, then you're good to go. Your supplemental data load will begin. That typically takes about 3 business days. During that time, the sync will be off, and your customers, your invoices, your payments, anything that you're entering into WEX FSM will just be saved in WEX FSM and not sync yet to QuickBooks until the supplemental data load is complete. So once that second data load is complete, you will then get a message from the data team, and that will say something to the effect of, congratulations, your data load is complete, onboarding is complete, and now you can continue using the software. When this happens, you will be able to log into your QuickBooks and see customers' invoices, payment information that you started entering since your make the switch date. So, as a disclaimer, there are about 3 days where you will not have the sync on and everything is saved in WEX FSM. Once that sync is turned on, then you'll see it in your QuickBooks. So that is the details for the actual make the switch day. Data load will be completed. Supplemental data load will be complete. And then the next topic is just, are you ready? Are you prepared? Is your system set up? Do you have your users, etc.? So we do have a sort of an onboarding checklist that you would have ran through, and that would be in the Help Center tasks section. So we're going to click on and actually I'm going to go here so you can see. Once you're in your system, let's say we're on the schedule page. I want to go to my onboarding checklist. We'll go down, click the Help Center, click on tasks. And then really just everything in here is important to check. If you're syncing to QuickBooks, check on the QuickBooks sync training. If you are using QuickBooks Desktop, do you have the sync tool installed? If you don't, I would click this link right away and get that scheduled. You want to have the QuickBooks sync tool installed for QuickBooks Desktop use, because that's the way that the sync is able to happen. If you're QuickBooks Online, then you will see a QuickBooks Online training here, and it will just tell you what you need to do for that. There's actually no extra application you have to download. As long as we have your credentials for for your QuickBooks account, we should be able to pull what we need. Make the switch. This is just some reminders like when to stop using your old software. Double check your user settings. If you click here, it'll take you where to look and review at your settings. If you're going to use the card readers to take payment, did you order those yet? If you're going to have your technicians out in the field use the mobile app, has everyone gotten the mobile app downloaded and can they log in and are they ready for day one of using WEX FSM? As you're getting ready, I would highly recommend to at least create the first couple days of appointments in your system. That way, your technicians are going to have jobs to run when it's time to go. And then review any data load information. It's always good to go and spot check your customer list, maybe look for a couple customers off the top of your head, and make sure that at least after that initial data load, those customers have been loaded to your liking. Initial setup. This is going to remind you about adding users. So anyone that you want to use WEX FSM, just make sure you've already added them as users. If you're going to be using the schedule page, make sure you set up your dispatch groups, which are the groups that you will use with your different users. Maybe you want a field tech group and an office group and an all users group. Those are pretty common. Review admin settings. I highly recommend going to each of these pages and just make sure the info on these pages and your preferences are set correctly. Business details, job types, contract terms, warranties, pricing defaults, and price book. You're going to be using these day one, so I would recommend making sure those are set properly. And then when you're done, you can mark this as complete, that you're ready to go. Then daily to-dos, this is really just reminders of places in the site that we know you're going to want to go to. The job list will show you your job flags, and using the flag for follow-up feature really helps you with keeping track of follow-ups. Going to your proposals report, knowing where that is, that will show you your close rate. Job summary report helps you keep track of proposals created, invoices, things like that. Cash flow, this is where you're going to go to check your receivables, who owes you money, and you can send payment reminders. If you have a maintenance plan program, you want to make sure you're checking up on your maintenance plan customers, scheduling, and plan list. And then Sync Hub. These three links here will just remind you where you can spot check the actual sync status of items. So invoice list, customer list, payment list, those are the three main things that will sync your customers' invoices and payments. If you notice that you made an invoice in WEX FSM and you don't see that has synced over to your QuickBooks, go to the invoice list and then you can check the sync status right here, auto sync status. If you notice, and I'm just going to check for not ready statuses. If you notice that something says not ready or there's some type of error, you can do your own troubleshooting here. You just click on details and, give it what it wants. This is saying that we need an income account. Where do we want this to sync to in QuickBooks? Once you're done, click save. And it will go into a ready status and sync on the next sync. Okay. Let's see. I think there's one more in the task area. Yes, learn the basics. And so this now is just making sure you're comfortable with the system, how to navigate appointments. The Office Basics video is very nice. This is a kind of an initial setup of creating appointments and managing jobs. Running jobs from the field. This is tutorial on how to use the mobile app. Maybe you want to send this video to your technicians so they can watch. Payments and insights, how to make sure you can just keep track of payments to reduce your collection efforts. And then advanced learning will allow you to look deeper into the rest of our training that we have. You can attend live sessions. And if you scroll down, we have video courses that you can work through. Maybe you want to set up financing and make sure that that is in a good place. I would recommend watching the multi-lender financing video. And all of our replays from our webinars. Maybe there's a webinar that you can't make it. That's okay. You can always just watch a replay of those topics. All right. Next, let's go to some post make the switch to dos. So once you actually make the switch, you're going to start using WEX FSM as your main software. You may have data that's loaded where some payments are unassigned. There wasn't an invoice that it's connected to. This happens especially when there's a lot of data to load. So if you do run across something like this, I want to make sure you're prepared for it. So I'm just going to go to my customer, Justin. And if you go to the payments tab on any customer, which is the second tab over, if you see this, it says customer has 4 payments and credits that are not fully applied to an invoice. click on that, and you may see something like this. Here is a check for $1,000 and it's not applied. So this is just an unapplied payment. And if we want to clean this up, I can just click on the edit button and then reassign the payment. And then I can apply this payment to, let's say this was the $1,000 invoice. Now we would apply that and click save. This will then apply this payment to the total payment of the invoice and will no longer be unassigned. It will be attached to an invoice at that point. Hopefully everything is coming over and you won't need to do this, but every once in a while we do see this happening where in the data load, the payment didn't have an invoice. It was just in your system. And then you can build the invoice in WEX FSM, apply the payment, and then that will sync down to the correct place in QuickBooks. Another thing that you may want to do is merging customers. So let's go to the customers page. I'm just going to click here. Uh, as much as we all want and hope and wish for all of our data to be perfect and clean when it loads in, and who knows, maybe everything in your previous software is perfect, but sometimes transitioning to a new software is an opportunity for you to re-examine your customer list and clean it up a little bit. And if you want to do that, you can do that from the customers page. And let's say you see a bunch of different accounts that have duplicates. You can simply click on oh, both of the accounts that you want to merge and click merge. And then whenever you are doing this, you'll just choose who you want the main account to be, the master account. And if you're syncing to QuickBooks, very important, if you are going to merge, make sure you do the merge in QuickBooks first, and then do the merge in WEX FSM later. Make sure you pick the same master as well. So we've got two accounts in both WEX FSM and QuickBooks. Do the merge, pick the master in QuickBooks, do the merge, pick the master in WEX FSM. Then when it syncs, it'll find it right away and know where to sync to. But in that transition time, you may want to do some merging, and that's how you do that. And then the last thing is when you are attending trainings, like the trainings that I teach for our core onboarding series, we're doing a full presentation with a little Q&A at the end. But we have another type of webinar called Solution Studio. And especially after you get up and running, you're out of onboarding, you're used to the system, you may even become, a veteran of the system after a year or so. We know that it's always good for you to have a place to kind of workshop issues or come up with new ideas. And that's what Solution Studio is for. You will click on the Help Center and then search, go to the help and look for Solution Studio. And then what you want to look for if you haven't signed up for any is Solution Studio Advanced Working Sessions. And these are more advanced sessions, and it's a working session. So there's a brief 15 to 20-minute presentation, and then the rest of the time is just talking with someone, telling them your issue, what you are thinking about doing in the system, and getting to work one-on-one with an agent to help you work through anything that you need. So that is available in the Help Center as well. Okay. And so just as a quick recap, are you ready to make the switch? The questions to ask yourself: have you added all of your users? So everyone that's going to use WEX FSM is in the system and they have their password. Have you created and finalized your dispatch groups? That way, you can assign your users to dispatch groups and then see those on the schedule so you can make an appointment. Then have you set up the features you want to use? So, are you going to use maintenance plans? Do you have maintenance plan templates set up? Are you going to use the price book? More applications, price book, my price book. Do you have price book items in? Are they organized? Are they the correct pricing for your technicians to then pull and use when they're, creating invoices in the field? And then last, just make sure that you do have some appointments on the board. So today's the 26th. If there was make the switch day on the 27th, you'll just want to come in and make sure that you're putting in your real customer schedule appointments. That way, when everyone shows up to work on make the switch day, they've got their appointments ready to go for them in the system. Okay. Of course, if you do have any questions at all, you can reach out to customer care by clicking on the Help Center and going to Contact Support, and they'll be able to help you out there. That's all the information we have for today's presentation. We're going to move to our Q&A now. But before we do, I just want to say thank you so much for joining. My name is Mark with WEX Field Service Management, and this has been Onboarding, Getting Ready to Make the Switch.